Crank it up, let it roll. Stars and stripes in my soul. Steel toes on, boots in the gravel. Heartland truth on every channel. Open Bible, flag on the wall. We say what we believe when we don't talk at all. This is red, white, and raise hell. Cowboy hat, church bell can't scare us into silence. We were born to rebel from the back road to the beltway. We won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raise hell. We back the badge, we guard the border. We love our guns and law and order. They try to shame every word we say, but we don't bow down, we just press play. This is red, white, and raise hell. Cowboy hat, church bell can't scare us into silence. We were born to rebel from the back road to the bell. Hey, we won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raise hell. You can cancel the show, but not the crowd. We're still here, still talking loud. Hand of the free on every spell. Hit that mic, host, let the truth ring out. This is red, white, and raised hell. Cowboy hat, church bell can't scare us into silence. We were born to rail from the back road to the beltway. We won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raised hell.
All right, are you feeling it? Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for being with us. We are strictly speaking right here on the Rumble channel. And my, oh my, we've got a good one for you today. We've got a couple of great guests. Since it's Tuesday, you already know the first one, Kirsanow Day. It's going to be here at the top of the hour. Peter Kirsanow will be with us at 8 o'clock. He and his special brand of getting getting a webcam to work. It's always an entertaining struggle for Pete. Maybe not entertaining to him, but it's kind of funny. Pete will be with us, but before that, we're going to talk with Tom DeWeese this morning. Tom, for those who don't know, let me turn the vibe down a little bit here. Tom, for those who don't know, Tom DeWeese is the founder of the American Policy Center, and he He's a champion. He's fighting for liberty all of the time, as is the entire American Policy Center. And he's focusing laser-like on the data centers that are popping up all over the country, but especially in Ohio. Do you know that we're the fourth largest isn't the right word. We have the fourth most data centers built or being built in the country. These massive data centers, which, a lot of people are like, let's go, bring them on. There's a lot of jobs that come with those. People are excited about that. Other people like Tom, not so much. Between what it does to our property and what it does to the cost of electricity, the need, and quite frankly, the fact that it feeds into AI, which a lot of people feel like is a growing threat to all of us, to our liberties. So we're going to talk to Tom DeWeese about that literally in about 25 minutes. We got a great chat coming up with him from 7:30 to 8, and then we will have, as I said, Peter Kirsanow will be with us coming up at 8 o'clock. So that's the rundown today. We have a lot of things to get into. Let's say good morning to our friends in the chat. And I do see Big Jake up in the house this morning. Big Jake, good morning to you too. Yo, Jimbo, got to get that FAFO shirt Bob has. You know what? Don't get one. Don't get one. Because I am putting together an online store of my own stuff. Obviously the ice shirt, that everybody got at the ice party, the ice appreciation party, and people can still buy right now. This one that I have somewhere listed. I know I got a pic of it up here someplace. Yep, there it is. Yeah, that ice shirt, that's only the first element. People have been loving that, and we're still shipping those out. So thank you to everybody who's ordering. If you have not yet ordered one of those, still got that graphic on there. I got to figure that part out. There we go. Send me an email if you want to buy one of those. The link isn't working to bobfrance.com, so I'm building an entire store page. For now, just send me an email if you want one of the ice shirts. I stand with ice shirts, which is really, really important. But email me, bob@strictlyspeaking.org for that, bob@strictlyspeaking.org, and tell me what size you want. We'll get it all handled. I'll send you the link, and you'll be able to order it up, and I'll get them shipped out. But I'm putting together a whole new store, basically filled with all kinds of good stuff, and among them will be that FAFO shirt, or a reasonable facsimile thereof. Obviously, I can't steal their stencil design, but FAFO, it belongs to everybody, and I'm going to make one of those up, and we're going to have a little anything we put out, any of the logos. Like last night, I was actually working on one of the designs for straight white male. Are you mad yet? Because that's apparently, if you're straight white and male, you are the enemy, and you are ticking off everybody that goes to a No Kings rally. But so any graphic design, quote, slogan, or whatever we do is going to have the Strictly Speaking logo on the sleeve as well. It's going to be really good quality stuff. I think you're going to like it. And I'm going to get them out there as quickly as I can, I promise. All right, let's see who else is up in the chat this morning in the early going. KC John looks like got to jump on everybody. John, good morning to you, my friend. Thank you. Good morning, B. Morgan, to you and all Patriots. CAD, good morning, CAD. And what happened to the rest of my... I'm sorry, I'm scrolling here and it just froze for a second. Good morning to Roz, who's reminding everybody to hit the thumbs up button. Amen to that. Thank you. It all counts. All of it counts to the algorithms. Rosebud, good morning and happy last day of March. It is. I got to do the calendar. I didn't do the calendar yesterday either. Good morning, DB Jones. Let's roll indeed. We are off and rolling. Lisa is up and at it. Schaefer, good morning to you. Queen Mother, I see you there as well. Hold on, quit freezing on me. Weird. Every little thing is a hassle, I swear, with these little Tetris pieces I'm trying to put together. Good morning to the Far West Sider. Good morning to Fred Fogg. Good morning to Frog, that is. Good morning to B. Morgan, pray for the troops already. Joanne, good morning. Patriots, bring on my favorite Civil Rights Commissioner, Peter. You got him. He's coming. 8 o'clock. Hockey player Mike is up and at it. The auto quote from me that I never made is up and at it. I can't stand that. Charlie G, good morning to you. Happy napalm to you. Dee Dee, good morning to Liberty Bell. Liberty Bell, Liberty Bell, Liberty Bell. I'm trying to show Liberty Bell. There we go. Liberty Bell, good morning, with some emojis that won't show up in print on the screen, but that's okay. Good morning. I'm assuming that's Karen. Who else is up in this? Sally. I see Sally. Good morning to Sally. And good morning to, I already said to Jimbo, cranking it up and letting it roll. By the way, Jimbo, you're going to like that. One of the shirts, I'm going to have one of our flag graphics in the middle, and on the top is crank it up, and underneath it is let it roll. It is, it'll probably have the whole logo, just to show logo there, I think would be good. But we're going to do crank it up and let it roll. And that's because of you. Because seriously, every morning when you hit that, based on the intro song, I like it. And I'm going to wear one of those myself. Good morning to Macromia. Good morning to Sherbink. Let us go indeed. And who else is up and in here? Oh, darn it. Zelda? I see Zelda. I didn't start you yet. Shut up. I'm coming to you in a moment. That's Channel 3. Channel 3 wants to get in with the Ashley McTaggart story that I'm going to start with. It's weird. If you pause it long enough, it just says, we're tired of waiting, and it plays automatically. I'll get there. CMG, Kimberly Thompson. That's a new name from Wisconsin. Welcome. I assume that 99% of our viewers, at least right now at this stage of where the growth of this project is, this live stream / podcast, I assume everybody's in Northeast Ohio. I found out when I started shipping out shirts, people are ordering these from all over the country, which is very cool. I'm sending them out west. I'm sending them to the Northeast, believe it or not, Midwest as well. It's very, very cool. So Kimberly, welcome from Wisconsin. Love that. Liberty Bell is up and at it. Jimbo likes the shirt idea. Tim Bex. Good morning. Hey, tweets. You're not going to be able to find Seth here, but the gesture is welcomed, of course. But welcome, tweets. Good to have you. All right. So let the crowd grow. Bring them in. Bring them in. Who'd you bring with you? Let them know that we are here. Tom DeWeese coming up, as I said before. Tom DeWeese will be with me at 7:30, and we're going to talk about data centers. And if you have thoughts on that, by the way, throw them up in the chat that I'm looking at right now. Seriously, put up questions and comments that you have. If you have not been made aware, really, of how widespread it is, I'm going to share with you a screenshot real quick. Tom DeWeese, again, the founder and the president of the American Policy Center, is sorry, I got to grab the screen share here for you. There we go. Tom is speaking in Cincinnati coming up on April 9th, and he's talking about what you see on the screen, the dangers of AI and explosive growth of data centers. And it'll be interesting to see if Tom says data or data. I think I say I say the opposite every other time. I can never decide which one I like better, because both are pretty much okay. Anyway, in Ohio, we are fourth in the nation. People don't realize that we have we have the fourth most number of data centers either built or planned and coming. And again, a lot of people are cheering that, and a lot of people like Tom are saying, "Whoa, pump the brakes." Very, very dangerous. AI poses a direct threat to our personal privacy and could lead to the elimination of many jobs, says Tom, among other things. And then the second paragraph, you can see there, data centers are central to the expansion of AI. These facilities are designed to store and process vast amounts of information, including details about individuals' lives, financial transactions, travel preferences, home automation, energy usage, and more. And they are going to consume, quote, disastrous amounts of water and energy. That's quite alarming. So that's why we're going to have Tom on. He'll be with us here coming up at the bottom of this hour. All right. So I'm looking forward to that conversation and see if maybe that, impacts you in any way. It should. And if you got questions, like I said, throw them up in the comments when we get Tom on. Don't put them in there now, by the way, because then I got to scroll up to find them when I'm talking to Tom, and I just don't have that time. Wait until he comes on, then start popping those in the questions or in the comments, and I will keep an eye on those while we're listening to Tom. All right. But I do want to start with, this story, which kind of broke over the weekend, and we did not get to yesterday. Much to my dismay, actually, I should have done that. This is the story of Ashley McTaggart, and it is one of the most infuriating things you're going to hear probably in a long time. Ashley McTaggart is a Parma school board member. Ashley McTaggart is a conservative. Ashley McTaggart is the bane of the existence of the liberals on that school board, and they have not wanted her there from the beginning. Now they seem to have found a way to get rid of her. And the way they're doing it is, well, she can't be here for all the meetings because she's being deployed. She's an Air Force veteran, an Air Force veteran who is being deployed in service to Operation Epic Fury. We don't know what she's going to do or where she's going to be, but she's being deployed. All right. And now the story, well, let's let Channel 3 tell the story as for what it's worth.
Tension brewing in Parma. A school board member is currently deployed with the military, and now a debate is breaking out over whether she can still serve her seat remotely. The board called a special meeting tonight to settle the question, but this isn't about one board seat. It has sparked a bigger battle over transparency and what Ohio law actually allows. Sia New Yorker is just back from Parma with how this all played out tonight. Sia.
Good evening, Lena. During tonight's special meeting, Parma City School Board member Ashley McTaggart was actually boarding a plane for deployment. Now, supporters say her service to this country should not cost her a seat on this school board. Just after 6 Thursday night, members of the Parma City School Board gathered at Normandy High School for a special meeting and got straight to the point.
Ms. Herbeck and I called a special meeting to provide the board information around board members' absences and what that means for the functions of the board.
Absent was board member Ashley McTaggart. As of Thursday, the Air Force veteran and current reservist is currently deployed for the U.S. military. Now, there are questions on if she can still serve on this school board while attending meetings virtually.
To be honest with you, I'm just going to be completely transparent. I don't know. We really don't know the amount of time that this board member is going to be away. I'm not sure.
Or if she should be removed from the office she was elected to. Legal counsel David Rose advised the board and explained under Ohio law, school boards cannot hold virtual meetings and board members may not attend or vote remotely, even while on leave. However, he clarified that a board member's absence does not automatically create a vacancy. Vacancies occur only under specific conditions outlined under state law, lasting at least 90 days. Military service is not listed as a reason for a vacancy under state law. Rose says he thinks the board is doing the right thing getting in front of this.
I think it's going to be kind of an ongoing process, to be honest. I mean, I think it's hard to know right up front, other than just kind of the basics, which is really all I'm here to present tonight. What laws and what policies are implicated.
However, McTaggart's supporters say they are troubled.
I'm a former board member myself. I think this is a bad move. If the board chooses to remove Ashley McTaggart while she is in active duty service to this country that is currently at war, I think it's a bad move.
Ashley, I got your six. And we're gonna fight for her, whatever it takes. I'm not gonna abandon her now because she's serving our country.
Now, there was no action taken tonight, but the board says another special meeting is coming as questions remain. We'll definitely keep eyes on this, Lena.
Yeah.
All right. If you're digging your nails into your palm right now out of anger, and if you're biting your lips so that you don't say something you might regret, like I am, yeah, you're not alone. I can promise you that. Ashley McTaggart is a warrior fighting for the country, and these leftists on the school board who don't want any obstruction and don't want anybody getting in the way of their agenda, their woke agenda to wokeify the schools in Parma. This is beyond repugnant. This is beyond, I don't know. I can't really think of too many words. Excuse me. I can't think of too many words that are appropriate here other than this is an outrage. They have been looking for a reason and a way to get rid of her for a long time, just the way they are in Mentor and in so many other public school districts. With the board, they want complete and total unobstructed control over the content of what goes into your kids' heads. And they think they have the answer to everything with respect to education. They bow to the left-wing teachers organizations, or they work hand in hand with them. And somebody like Ashley McTaggart is a problem for them. So they're looking for a way and a reason to dump her out of there. And now they've found it. And the answer is because she's freaking deployed. I mean, this can't be real. This can't be right. I mean, when you think about it, it's almost parallel universe time. Here's somebody who's being deployed to go serve the country, and as punishment, we're going to stop her from being able to serve the students of Parma in the Parma schools. Words fail. It is beyond the pale. Okay. I don't think even if there was, and that was a fairly comprehensive report by Channel 3. I'm not a big Channel 3 fan. I used to work on Channel 3. I used to do commentary segments for them years ago. They have gone so far crazy out of it. It's really frustrating. Quite frankly, most of the Cleveland, I don't want to go branch off into that now, but the Cleveland television stations, news stations, most of them are crazy woke and radically left. Channel 3, I think, probably is the worst. And I say that, like I said, I mean, I've got people there that I know that I do respect, but anyway, but that was a fairly comprehensive report in which they talked about Ashley's situation, and they compare, doggone it. So they presented, what the rules say about absences and so on and so forth. And even if there are rules saying that a member cannot participate in the board meetings virtually, even if that is in the rules, then you know what you do? You amend the gosh doggone rules. You get rid of them. You put in an exception. You say asterisk, except if they're serving overseas to save and protect America and America's interests. You're not required to be in the room. Now, the reason I'm sure those rules exist is because they don't want people going, oh, you know what, we're on vacation, or oh, we're going to the beach, or my son's got a baseball game tonight. So rather than being at the school board meeting, I'll be on my phone in front of the fence or watching my son play ball, or whatever lame reason somebody might have to not being able to serve on the school board. It is not because you are deployed to a foreign country to protect the interests of the United States and active duty service to this country. That's not what it's for. Put a little asterisk there and say, accept that. How hard is this? And the answer is it's not hard at all. And that's why this is so infuriating. I want to share another screen with you. This is, where'd you go? Doris Peters put out here it is. Doris Peters, who is a candidate for State Central Committee. And this is her page, actually, but she put up a separate page in service, or in support of, rather, Ashley McTaggart. So I'm trying to share this screen now, and I don't know if I can, as again, we continue to fight through the Tetris maze. And yeah, we want to share that. Okay, here we go. So this is just a support page on the Doris Peters for Ohio website. Stop the woke Parma School Board members. Parma School Board member and U.S. Air Force Technical Sergeant Ashley McTaggart is preparing to deploy overseas to serve our country. In response, here are their names. Let's make them infamous. Tammy Sebastian, Brittany Kerpick, and Leah Yurley hastily called a special meeting to begin the process of removing her from the position that Parma voters elected her to hold because she may miss some meetings while serving in uniform. Let that sink in. Doris, amen. At the very moment she is stepping up to defend our nation, they are moving to take her seat at home. This crosses the line. She's fulfilling her duty to this country. Punishing her for that service is unacceptable. It shows a complete failure of judgment and a total disregard for both our military and the voters of Parma. Is that not showing? Doggone it. Again, the pieces just are so many. Sorry. That's her, and this is what I'm reading from. from Doris's page, just FYI. Stop the woke Parma school board members. And again, their names are in print here. I'll get to them in a minute. Well, here they are in boldface. Tammy Sebastian, Brittany Kerpick, and Leah Early must resign. There is no walking this back. Now it's your turn to act. Call them, email them, make your voice heard. Tell them politely but firmly that their actions are wrong and they must resign. And there they are. And Doris did the legwork here, and I want you to see that. Hopefully you can see it. But if you can't, I'll read it to you. Tammy Sebastian, her email address is it is Sebastian T at parmacityschools.org. And you can see the phone number there if you can zoom in on that. Brittany Kerpick is KerpickB at parmacityschools.org, so you can see their pattern. Leah Yurley is YurleyL at parmacityschools.org. All right. And as you can see, what Doris wrote here, the phone number for Tammy Sebastian is there. The others not listed intentionally. They don't want to hear from you. So there is there's a link here, and I'm not sure exactly where this is going to go, where you can fill out your comment. Is that going to go to the school board? I'm not clear on that. But then there's, like I said, Doris Peters running for State Central Committee. So she devoted this page on her own personal campaign page just to support Ashley McTaggart. And I would like to second that and concur. Here's Ashley's Facebook, by the way. Again, mom of 3 beautiful girls, realtor, nurse, and U.S. Air Force veteran. And yes, U.S. Air Force reservist right now. That's how she got called into duty here. And look at this. Marcel Sturbich for Ohio. Marcel Sturbich, candidate for a Secretary of State. The candidate that I've endorsed, by the way, made a quote here in support of Ashley. Where are we going as a society? Let me make sure you're seeing that. When a dedicated mom, Parma school board member, and activated military reservist is threatened with removal from her elected position because she had to deploy. If both federal and state law is not clear on civil service protections for activated service members in Ashley's position, then Parma's elected officials or Ohio state legislators need to take action to protect her and every military service member to afford them civil service protections so they can serve and protect us. And this is important to Marcel because, as you probably know from all of the times you've heard of him with me, he is an Air Force veteran, 20 years as an Air Force intelligence officer. And as he points out here, having deployed 6 times in that role, I understand the challenges that Ashley faces as she transitions to deployment. The last thing she needs is pressure and threats to remove her from her position, serving on an elected board that can work in good faith to establish accommodations. Parma School Board needs to do the right thing and support Ashley, not enact an episode of Mean Girls. I stand with fellow patriot Ashley McTaggart. And you know what? Thank you, Marcel, for that. So do I. And so should everybody who is a common, sensible person. Absolutely. Ashley McTaggart deserves our support. So if you have thoughts on this, by all means, hit them up in the comments. And I see some people already into it. And we'll get into those in a moment. But first, I would like you to know that, excuse me. I would like you to know that portions of today's episode are brought to you by my friend Mark King. Mark King, Keeping Medicare Simple. He has been doing that for nearly 40 years, and that is no small task. Medicare is complex. It is difficult to understand and follow, and there are so many choices, and this insurance company will try to get you to sign up with them for these reasons. Another will tell you something totally different, and you have to navigate through that. That's why you need an independent agent like Mark King. Mark, completely independent. He does not make money off of you in any way, shape, or form, and he doesn't have a stake in which one you choose. He's going to present you some options about all of the different types of coverage available, Parts A, Part B, Part D, the prescription plan, and more. He'll help you make a good call. Write down this phone number, 440-832-8936, to schedule an appointment today, or go online at keepingmedicaresimple.com. It's important. Don't just go to your favorite search engine and type in Keep Medicare Simple. You'll get a ton of different results there. It's got to be the website, keepingmedicaresimple.com. And you'll find out why I've been sending people who are of Medicare age to Mark King for all of these. Tom DeWeese is coming up, so sorry. But Mark for all of these years, because he takes care of people, and people who have met with him have come back to me and said, thank you Thank you. Now I understand, and now I have the best Medicare coverage that I could possibly have, and it's all because of Mark King. And thank you, Mark King, for your undying support for Strictly Speaking Unfiltered. For years now, we've been partners, and I'm so proud and humbled by that. Okay. We should be joined by Tom DeWeese here momentarily. Then we've got Peter Kirsanow scheduled for 8 o'clock. I want to make sure that I am not missing anything with Tom, so I'm going to take just a short pause. I'm going to let you listen to one of my favorite songs here in support of ICE, and hopefully we'll be back on the other side with Tom DeWeese.
Vest on, boots laced. Another name on the paper, another hard case. Got a wife back in Lubbock, kids in their Sunday best. I ain't some villain in a movie, I'm a man doing my best. You can scream in my face, you can block my way, but this badge on my chest means somebody saved today. You hold that sign, I hold this line in my hands. While you're treading the street, I'm the one who stands. Yeah, you draw your crowd, I draw a line in the sand. Saw you playing for cameras, shoving phones in my crew, spitting words like traitor, like you know what we go through. When you circle that transport, like it's some kind of game, there's a scared little girl in the backseat, you don't even know her name. You can scream in my face, you can block my way, but this badge on my chest means somebody saved today. You hold that sign, I'll hold this line in my hands. While you're chanting the street, I'm the one who stands. Yeah, you draw your crowd, I draw a line in the sand. Then you shove them into harm's way. You turn a bus into a battlefield. I'm just trying to get them home today. Call me every name you can think of, I'll still show up when it hits the fan. When the dust clears, when fear's near, we'll see who really ran. You can scream in my face, you can block my way, but this badge on my chest means somebody saved today. You hold that sign, I'll hold this line in my hands. While you're treading the street, I'm the one who stands. Yeah, you draw your crowd, I draw a line in the sand. Yeah, you draw your crowd, I draw a line in the sand.
All right, Steinbeck once wrote, the best plans of mice and men, often go awry. The best laid plans, that is. And this is one of those times. So it looks like we had a little bit of a cross connection or communication issue there. So Tom DeWeese is going to actually come on next Tuesday instead of today. So he's not available today. He is going to come on next Tuesday. So we'll have that conversation about AI and about, actually, we could have the conversation today too, just amongst ourselves. About AI and about the data centers and the extraordinary danger that a lot of people see in those. Like I said, that's what Tom wrote about. And there is an article that I'm going to discuss with him what will be next week. That's actually just part of his speech. But this is the American Policy Center that Tom founded. He is the founder and the president of. See if I can put it. Yeah, there he is. But he's writing a lot about this. He's written a lot of articles about it, about the dangers of AI, and about specifically about the data centers that are being built all over the state of Ohio. the fourth most in the country, and a lot of people are very, very alarmed by that. A lot of people are also very satisfied and happy about the fact that jobs are coming here. If those data centers are going up somewhere, you might as well take advantage of them here. But the benefits may not outweigh the risks, quite frankly. And that's what Tom's whole position is. So we'll have that conversation with him next Tuesday. I just got off the phone with him, so we had a little bit of a crossing of the wires. So that's okay. That gives us more opportunity to talk about the Ashley McTaggart story and check in to see where you are on that in the comment section. So do we have trolls on the page again? I'm just checking because, yeah, there we go. Yeah, you know what, Ohio Patriot troll, it's not cool. You're just coming in here to cause trouble. We know how you guys operate, and that's actually very easily rectified. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. You don't get to give yourself a little handle like, Patriot or whatever, and just think that you're going to gaslight us into thinking you're here for purposes of contributing to the discussion. You're getting in the way of it. And yeah, no. So bye-bye. He's gone, everybody. So don't worry about that. Okay, let me hop into the chat myself here and see what people think. And we can indeed still talk. What's Joanne asking? Joanne's asking, Bob, can you offer long sleeve shirts, especially ice? Yes, actually. The store that I'm building, and I'm literally compiling every evening when I get home, it's just part of the nonstop 24/7 cycle of what I'm trying to build here. Honestly, every evening when I get home, hey, MAGA, what are you doing in here, big boy? MAGA's in the house. What's up, big MAGA? Come here. Want to come up here and say hi to people? Come here. Up. Come on, kid. Come here. Well, if you're going to be in the house, you're going to have to be seen. Look, say hi to everybody. Look, there he is. MAGA's up in the house. Hi, buddy. Okay, that door should not be open, so you go lay down. Come on, buddy. Good boy. All right. Sorry, but not really. Anytime I get a chance to say hi to MAGA, I'm down. Anyway, so where was I? Yeah, the store that I'm building, yes, we're going to have short sleeve shirts. We're going to have long sleeve shirts. We're going to have hats, and we're going to have also some non-apparel, some items. The coffee mug type thing, what do you call them? The cups, the like Stanley type cups, the cold, whatever you want to call them, the beverage cups. I have 10 of them. I can't think of what they're called, for crying out loud. Yeti is one of the brands, like those kind of things. So we're going to have some merchandise and things like that. We're going to have logos all over it. And yes, long sleeve shirts will be a part of that store. So Joanne, thanks for asking that. All right, Rosebud. Yeah, don't worry. Ohio's proposal to ban large data centers advances toward the November ballot. Yes, it does. And that is a big concern. And by the way, sorry, I'm kind of looking at all of the comments at the same time. Real quick, people are gonna throw the H word around here. They're gonna talk about hypocrisy if I talk down about AI because I use AI. Virtually all of these graphics I make on a regular basis. Let me this is AI, obviously. This is AI, the graphic, not the shirt. So many of the things that we do are indeed AI. And so is it okay to use AI while also condemning the proliferation of AI? And I think it is. I think it's okay. And I know a ton of people are using it you can recognize AI language if you see it enough, because you start to see repetition in phrases and style and presentation. And there are people like me who have podcasts and very active social media accounts and things like that have not written a single original thought of their own in a couple of years. And I know, because I'm not calling them out on it, but I know it. I recognize it when I read it. If you are online enough, you will start to recognize AI language, AI, like I said, it's vernacular, it's tone, it's repetitive phrasing, and so forth. You can recognize it. That's kind of one of the reasons why, the only reasons why professors are able to bust their students, their college students, and maybe high school teachers too, I don't know, who are cheating and having writing their papers with AI, because AI has very deliberate and definite habits when it comes to writing. And if you read enough social media and read enough articles, you can tell when somebody wrote it and when somebody just had AI generated. And there are people, like I said, in my sphere, this orbit, whatever you want to call the podcast ecosystem, there are people who don't write their own material and they let AI write it for them. And it's frustrating as hell. So people are using it for language, which I have a much bigger problem with than for the development of what I use it for, which is for graphics. Okay, to create pictures and images. I'm not that guy that can do a ton of the Photoshop and Canva and DaVinci and all these artistic type of websites and offerings and so forth, where you can kind of create what you want to look. I don't have those talents. And if I did, and I could probably learn it, I don't have the time. So if I can go into one of the sites to Grok and tell Grok, create a graphic for today's show, promoting today's show that features Senator Bernie Moreno. I had that up there yesterday. Features Senator Moreno talking about the DHS funding fight or whatever, and it can, in a matter of about 30, 40 seconds, spit out a graphic that looks great. I'm going to use it. Does that mean that I support the unrestricted and the extraordinarily rapid expansion of AI? No. I can be alarmed by the reliance upon AI to do our thinking for us. I can be alarmed by the idea of AI replacing jobs that people do without, I think anyway, I can be alarmed by those things without saying I'm never going to use AI again. Because like I said, using it for graphics, there are uses for the song. Again, I'll go back to it. The song I played for you while I was clearing up the time constraint, or not the constraint, the mistake that we had with Tom. Yeah, I made that with AI. I wrote a few of the lyrics, described the theme that I wanted, and I said I wanted it to be kind of hard, modern, big stage country driving type music, and it took all of those cues and it spit out Line in the Sand. Oh, yeah, Line in the Sand, which is the one about our ICE agents. And same thing with the show Open, a red, white, and raise hell. But anyway, you get the point. So the AI question is a legitimate question. I don't think, personal opinion, I don't think it's hypocritical to use it a little bit while also being alarmed by it. All right. I'm going to get off of the path here because I want to talk about the Ashley McTaggart story a little bit as well. So let me go back here and scroll through our comments and see where we were. Okay. As a construction electrician, data centers have provided many jobs to my fellow construction workers. B. Morgan, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I said in the intro, and I'll talk about with Tom next week. Data centers bring a lot of jobs. They do. And, it's kind of like, I don't know, I'm trying to find a good analogy here, and I don't know if I can really pinpoint one, but, it's like the old, if you can't beat them, join them. If data centers are going to be built and they're going to take up property and they're going to require a ton of electricity and it's going to strain the grid, and we're going to have to reinforce and expand the grid, et cetera, et cetera. If it's going to happen, because there's no stopping AI, that's what I believe. There's no stopping it. And if that's going to be the case, why shouldn't we benefit from it? Why shouldn't we get the jobs, right? That's the argument. There's a reward and there's a risk. If you can't stop that which is risky and it's coming anyway, you might as well take the reward, right? That's the viewpoint of people who are pro data center. I think that's the viewpoint of our gubernatorial candidate, Vivek Ramaswamy. And I'm going to have him on soon, by the way. It's been a while. It's been a few months since I've talked to Vivek, but we'll get him on. But you understand the point? there is a belief that this is part of economic development, and there's no slowing it down, no stopping it, certainly. And so therefore, why don't we take advantage of it and put some Ohioans to work? The other side is what Tom is going to tell us about, and that is, no, we cannot allow it to proliferate like this. We cannot allow it to grow, and we cannot allow it to, we can't sacrifice all of the natural resources that it takes to run these things, especially at such high numbers, talking about the data centers. So it's a very legitimate question. Good morning, Bob. When you are talking AI, you may want to listen to a verdict with Ted Cruz from Monday. So yesterday, Ben Ferguson asked ChatGPT how to bring down a country, and they discussed. Very scary. I've actually seen that, Elizabeth, and thank you and welcome, Elizabeth. I don't recognize that name. And if it's new, I thank you and welcome. And if it's not new and you've been here, then I apologize for not seeing you before. That conversation is had all of the time. And a lot of people have fed those questions into Grok, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, and all the different, there's a whole bunch of different AI chatbots. And how would you destroy the world? How would you destroy America? How would you bring it down and so forth? And it is thinking about those things because it's asked, it's GIGO. For now, it's still GIGO, right? Garbage in, garbage out. That's the true of all computers, of all programs. It can only do what man tells it to do. But with AI, it is being given more autonomy to decide, based on what man's input is, how to respond to certain questions. And that's one of the reasons there are lawsuits, because, one of these chatbots, to some desperate, lonely people, and I'm not trying to speak, ill of those who have been impacted in such ways, but desperate, lonely people that don't have friends and that have come to rely on conversations with robots, these chatbots, they become connected on an emotional, psychological relationship level. They almost treat it like it's a person. And they think that this machine, this bot talking back to them, has their best interest in mind. And then when somebody who's depressed and having a hard time starts talking about suicide, the chatbots in some of these cases have been saying, yeah, man, I feel you. You know what? That might be the best way to go. It's like, whoa, what? The chatbot encouraged a struggling person to go kill themselves. And there have been lawsuits over that, right? That's dangerous as hell, obviously. But the point being that it will give back to you what you give to it. And if you give to it your intentions, and it interprets you asking for its support, it'll provide it for you. So if you ask it, hey, what's the best way for me to destroy the country? How can I play a role in destroying the country? It's going to say, oh, I want to make you happy. I want to make you happy. I want to give you what you're looking for. And so it'll say, here's what you do. Here are the ways to bring down, the military apparatus, basically all of the government wheels. Here's a good way to stop them from turning. This is what you do. This is how you activate and mobilize other people, et cetera, et cetera. And I've seen those. There have been articles about them. So it's a legit question. But again, the intention belongs, in my opinion, to the user, not the machine in that regard. It is scary. I didn't see the episode you're talking about of Ted Cruz and verdict, but I've seen stories and read articles about this. And to me, it's kind of like the Meta verdict from, and I'm going to talk to Kirsanow about that and other things, the Meta verdict from last week, Meta and YouTube. Now, I don't like Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook, and I don't like Google, which owns YouTube either, even though we're on YouTube right now. Only a handful of people watching it because almost everybody is watching on Rumble, which is good. It's funny because YouTube and Facebook, it's also live streaming on Facebook too, so we get people watching there. I don't like those companies, but blaming them for the addiction of people, particularly young people, scrolling too much and spending too much time on their pages, blaming them because they made their product too good and too desirable is a problem for me. This was in my newsletter from Sunday. Let me pop it up here real quick. I kind of have that saved now and on ready to report duty here. So yeah, this is this past Sunday's newsletter. And if you have not yet subscribed to it, by the way, send me an email, bob@strictlyspeaking.org, and I'll send you a link to subscribe to it. Okay. But among the 5 things to do this week, have Ashley's back. We've been talking about the Ashley McTaggart story. 2, track your Jim Crows. I did that in a video. Seriously about that, by the way. Anytime and any, look at that. That's an AI creation I made. I told AI to generate a picture of a dejected black man being denied access to the airport or to an airplane because it requires an ID to get on a plane. And as we're told by Chuck Schumer, requiring an ID is like Jim Crow. It's Jim Crow 2.0 because black people can't get IDs. They can't get driver's licenses. So that's what it gave me, exactly what I told it to give me. Big old sign there, ID required for boarding, no exceptions. Poor black guy. I don't have one of those. Anytime you're asked to show your ID, snap a selfie and post it and tell everybody, I hashtag my Jim Crow or track your Jim Crows. I've been Jim Crowed because somebody made me show an ID to get through life, because we have to expose how stupid these people are. Make them infamous, which is showing everybody who the dangerous criminals are that the left is trying to protect by attacking ICE. Flex your birth certificate, similar to show your Jim Crow. The left says they can't find their birth certificates because they have to try to prove that that's voter suppression. So I want everybody to show how easy. I could do it live right now. I talked about this, I think, on Friday. I could walk into the other room right now. I know exactly where our family keeps our birth certificates and important documents, deed to the house, car titles, and so on and so forth. It's very easy. Everybody does it. I could walk in there and show it to you right now. I'm asking people to do that. Flex your birth certificate. Show everybody. You don't have to show them the actual language on it, let anybody see your private info, but show them your birth certificate in your hand to show them how stupid it is to suggest that people can't do that. And then this is the key here. This is what I was getting at. Item number 5 on 5 things to do this week in the newsletter is take some personal responsibility. While there's little doubt that big tech companies use manipulative design features to make their platforms irresistible to users of all ages, that verdict highlights a deeper cultural rot, the refusal to take personal responsibility. And like I wrote here what I just said on the radio, on this podcast too, but I have no love for Mark Zuckerberg or Meta, and certainly none for the dangerous owners and operators at Google. But let's be honest, neither Facebook nor YouTube forces anyone to keep scrolling. At some point, adults have to act like adults. Nobody pours alcohol down your throat. Nobody forces you to overeat junk food. And nobody makes you sit on your phone for 6 hours a day. That's called personal responsibility. And if we're talking about the kids, that responsibility belongs to parents. Take control of your kids' devices and their safety and teach them some self-control of their own. The idea that companies should be punished because their products are just too tempting is absurd. The real issue isn't that these platforms exist. It's that too many people refuse to control their own behavior. Own your choices and own your behavior. That's how I see it. And that's how I said it, and that's how I'll continue to say it. And if you've got thoughts on it, by all means. All right, where were we? Jimbo, got to stop AI from stealing the next generation's jobs. Now that's a legitimate fear and that's a legitimate concern. I'm not gonna lie about that. I get it. The job aspect of AI. It's I think one of the biggest ones that I've seen are musicians. Because remember, I showed you the AI that I created, or I described the AI that I created the song with. There are a lot of musicians who really, really hate AI because, it's taken, if somebody would have paid them to write a song for them, then they're in bigger business. If I get AI to do it and I just pay the AI fee for the company that is doing the songs, then the musician loses out. So I get it. And there are a lot of automated jobs that AI and automation have taken from workers. And that is a legitimate concern. Condemning them to pot in their parents' basements until 40. AI is useful and fun, but it shouldn't rule the workforce. I concur. That's a great way to say that. All right. Sorry, every time I leave the screen, I have to go back and find where I was on the comments section. Okay, we got some people in the Ashley McTaggart story as well, so I want to make sure I share that too. All right, Elizabeth. Being present is law for city councils, commissions, and school boards. You need to have a quorum. Should not apply to national service. Close that loophole. Thank you. That's all I'm saying. That's what I've been saying from the start. Put a little addendum, a little asterisk, a little loop, whatever you want to call it, and just say, if you're deployed to serve this country, exceptions are made. We will hold your seat until you get back. And if you're not in the middle of a firefight somewhere and you can join by your phone, then join by your phone and participate in our board meeting. That's common sense. Sorry I'm late, everybody. Bus never showed up for the kids. All right. The struggle is real, isn't it there, politically incorrect mechanic? Let's see, where else are we going here? Tumblers is yes. Yeti, yes. That's what I'm making, the tumblers. I could not think of the word to save my life. Big Jake, great seeing the dog. I miss mine. She was great. Yeah, that's my son's dog, Maga. And Maga's awesome. He's my boy. He's my best buddy. The store sounds great. Thank you, Joanne. You're very welcome. You do not want elected officials, most of whom are paid, to not show up or phone it in. I support Ashley staying on the board. Just be careful on how you solve the issue. Again, Elizabeth, I'm talking specifically about service. We're not talking about, like I said, oh, you know what, I'm having coffee with my girls and you know what, we lost track of the time. I'm not going to be able to make it to the board meeting in time. I'm going to hook up by phone, okay? Or I'm going to hook up virtually by, the laptop. No, that's not okay. We're talking about being deployed to serve the country, for crying out loud. Terry says, I'm always asking Grok questions. Yeah, and you know what? There's a use for it too, there too. I'll talk about that in a minute. B. Morgan says, I use Grok. Charlie, regarding McTaggart's sacrifice and deployment, it's so cringy how much these Democrat leftists hate our country. Yes, Charlie, it is. 100% agree. Sally, our electrical grid should be updated and studied to see if it can accommodate the demands from AI. Very fair point. Elizabeth, we love Maga. Maga the dog is my boy. Yep, we love him. We love him too. He's the most, I don't want to get into it. I've never seen a dog like him. He's just the most unbelievably well-behaved, gentle dog that you've ever experienced, especially for being a 95-pound boxer, Dutch Shepherd breed mix. He's a mixed breed. He's incredible. Anyway, ask Grok how a country can be destroyed without using war. I've seen those types of questions, and I've seen some of the stuff that the AI spews out. I know, I get it. B. Morgan, data centers should have their standalone electrical power plants. Maybe. And I don't know what it takes to build an electrical power plant, but I do know what it takes. It takes energy. It takes coal. I remember that one left-wing Michigan representative who was asked about, where's the power coming from, and, for the electricity. And she said, from the wall over there, where the holes are. Okay. And so you think there's this power in the concrete in which those holes have been placed? Really? It's going to take coal or natural gas. It takes energy to run the power grids that provide the electricity. And so, there is a legit question there about what is available. Let's see what else. Buckeye Trees, every time we use AI, sucks water out of our rivers and streams and underground water. This will not work until they find a different cooling method. Very fair point. It's okay to question AI is only as good as those who do the programming. That's what Geigo means. And we humans are not perfect. We're sinners, and sin comes with consequences. Kimberly, didn't Trump pass a law that state data centers have to use their own grids so that the communities where they are being built are not being affected? I don't know about that. I don't know that he, quote unquote, passed a law. He may have written an order of some kind. I don't know how much weight it carries on the state level, truthfully. And I certainly know there wasn't a congressional law about it. So maybe there's something to it, but it's not all the way what it looks like. How come these data centers aren't running on solar and wind? Yeah, right. Okay, I want to hit something else on the, it looks like most of the comments are on AI right now. But instead of the Ashley McTaggart story, and I'm going to talk to Kirsanow about the Ashley McTaggart story too. coming up here, just because it's so obvious and so common sensible. What is this? Don't apologize for losing your spot on the chat. It just means we're listening, interacting. I know it does. You guys are awesome. And it's just a constant flow of commentary on the chat. And I absolutely love that. And I appreciate that very much. But I'm also trying to keep my place here so people don't have to sit here and watch me fumble about trying to get all that information. All right. Super quick on AI and on the conversational aspect of it, because I talked about how sometimes desperate and lonely people turn to AI chatbots to have conversations because they don't have a lot of people in their lives, friends or family members with whom they're close. And so they get into, and this is where some of them have sadly and tragically and horrifically lost their lives because they've been depressed and they're relying on their buddy in the little computer screen to tell them, how to feel and what to do and how to process their feelings. And if they talk about killing themselves, and these chatbots are programmed to make the user happy, to give them what they want. Every time I make one of those graphics for the show, if it's, if it makes Peter Kirsanow look bad, because these are AI generated, I'll upload the picture and I'll say, create a graphic promoting today's show, featured guest Peter Kirsanow. I'll put an actual picture of Kirsanow in there, but it will then break it down and recreate it for the graphic. Okay. It doesn't just like grab the pic itself. It creates its version of the pic. And sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad. And when they're bad, sometimes I'll have them do it over again. And it will say, my bad, my mistake. Sorry, that wasn't right. That didn't look good. Here's what I'll change. It's designed to please you. It's designed to give you what you're looking for. Okay. So if somebody who's depressed and says, I want to kill myself, it's going to say, yeah, I'm right there with you, buddy. Go get it done. Here's a good way to do it. And that's why there have been lawsuits against the platforms that build these things. But it doesn't mean you can't use it for certain things. And, somebody just put on the chat, I ask Grok questions all the time. And I've done that too for very, very, very weird things. I kid you not. You ready for this? I will get into Grok and ask it questions about the meanings of song lyrics that I may not understand. I'm not kidding. I'll be listening to music, and I'm talking about not even new music, because I'm an old guy. I love my music from the 70s and 80s, a little bit from the 90s, a little bit less from the 2000s, and pretty much next to nothing of what's out there right now, the exception maybe of Chris Stapleton and Shabuzi. But the point is, if there's lyrics that I didn't understand, I'll put it in there and say, what is meant by this? And what is the meaning of the song? Just because I get, I don't know, whatever. I start thinking about that stuff. And it'll give me feedback that I had never thought of before. And I'll engage it with conversations. But what about this, that, and the other? But the thing is, I'm well balanced enough to know that I'm talking to a machine, and the machine is giving me back what it's programmed to do. It's not a person over there thinking on the other side. And so therefore, I can connect and disconnect from that. Some people who are maybe in worse states of mind can't handle AI because they can't disconnect. And they feel like that's a person, a friend, giving them actual advice that they should follow. But I've had some back and forth interactions with AI about silly things, about sports questions, hypotheticals about this, that, or the other thing too. And, a lot of people feel like that's a danger. All right. Hey, I want to remind you before we get into Peter Kirsanow that we are so proud to be partnered with our friends at AFP, Americans for Prosperity, and the Buckeye Blueprint. The Buckeye Blueprint, which is online at buckeyeblueprint.com. I tell you about this every day. They're building a better Ohio, a better Buckeye state. All right. We are in the middle of the Midwest from a geographic standpoint. We should not be from a statistical and from an achievement standpoint. We should not be in the 30s in education. We should not be in the 30s when it comes to economic freedom. We should not be in the 30s or below when it comes to energy. We have so many resources in this state. We have to use them better. So that's what the Buckeye Blueprint is all about. And there are things you can do to help and support. Okay, that's what I want you to do. I want you to go to the page buckeyeblueprint.com. Also visit AFP Ohio. That's Americans for Prosperity. And start seeing what you can do to contribute to the cause, how you can support AFP, grassroots organizing at its finest. We can build a modernized Ohio government that works for the people instead of against them. That's what the Buckeye Blueprint is. That's what AFP Ohio is about. It's about policy, not politics. It's not just sitting here trashing the left. It's about making the best policy. We may have the type of leaders we want in the state of Ohio, but they're not enacting the right policy. And this is our way to move them, to impact them, and to influence them. Go to BuckeyeBlueprint.com. And thank you to AFP, Americans for Prosperity. If you get a chance to send them a note, thank them for supporting the mission of Strictly Speaking Unfiltered every day right here. All right. I have, something I have not seen before. He is steady and ready to rock and or roll. He is our very own Peter Kirsanow, and he looks like the computer worked. Look at the framing. Look at the smile on that face. Kirsanow is in the house, and I got to hide that graphic there. There we go. Peter, good morning.
I've been practicing this, after getting chastised last week with the debacles I've had trying to get my video going and everything. So, I promised I'd get it right. So here I am.
I love it. I love it. I'm seeing you in the green room. They're framed nice and perfectly. You're not bouncing all over the place, phone falling down on the table in front of you. Your height is right. I love it. You got ready this time. I texted you late last night because I wanted to see if we could do a trial session or a test session, just make sure we didn't go through that again today, but I guess it was too late. Old men go to sleep a little earlier than younger men.
That's right.
And I tease about that. Hey, Pete, before we dive into some of the issues of the day that I already told you about, I didn't ask you about Ashley McTaggart. Are you familiar with what's going on with the Parma School Board?
No.
Peter, this will be an easy one for you to answer, and I just want to get you on the record for it. Ashley McTaggart is a Parma School Board member. She's a conservative. She's the only conservative. The leftists on the school board don't like her being there, like most of the school boards in Ohio and around the country. Right? They run the schools with with woke ideology and the teachers' unions in their back pocket and so forth. Well, so she's one of those who have dared to be a pain in their rear end. Well, she can't be at some upcoming school board meetings for a pretty interesting reason. And because she won't be able to be there, some of her colleagues, the ones that want to get rid of her anyway, are saying, she can't do this virtually. She can't do it virtually. It's in the bylaws. It's in the, the rules of the board. If she can't be here in person, she's got to go. You know where she's going, Pete? She's an Air Force veteran and an Air Force reservist, and she's being deployed. And so they're using her deployment to serve the country as a reason to boot her from the school board. And conservative activists all over Northeast Ohio are not having it. What say you?
I'm not having it either. And I think that those school board members are going to suffer at the polls. If I know that school district at all, and I think I know it a little bit, they vote Democrat in the main, but they are culturally and socially conservative. I don't think they're going to appreciate that at all. I know I don't appreciate it. And to the extent I have anything to do about it or say about it, I'm going to be speaking out against them. I'm going to make a note of that.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
It's just, it's outrageous. I played a clip from Channel 3's coverage of this because it happened over the weekend. We found out about this. That's when it broke. Channel 3 did a story on it on Monday or something, or Sunday or whatever. And it was some of the board members were being interviewed, and they were talking about, this is the way it reads or whatever. And I was thinking to myself, your correct answer is here, no problem. We're going to handle this for her. We're going to carve out an exception. And we're not talking about exceptions because I'm going to a concert tonight, so therefore I'm going to miss the school board meeting. We're talking about exception being if you're deployed to fight for the country because you have volunteered and enlisted as a reservist, for crying out loud, we're holding your spot for you. How hard is that to do?
Yeah, it's not hard. And I don't know this, but based on previous experience with other similarly situated entities, if this person was going to, say, a trans pride parade, I'm sure that they would have no problem with it. I mean, Bob, you know that. I mean, we've seen it over and over again. It's ridiculous. So, I will tell you that if to the extent I can speak out about it, I will.
Yeah, well, and you would, Peter. I just wanted to get your, get you on the. And as long as we're on that, the other topic of the first hour that I was doing today, Peter, is AI. And we were going to have Tom DeWeese on, but we had a little cross connection. I thought it was this Tuesday. He thought it was next Tuesday, so I deferred to him. It's going to be next Tuesday. But Tom DeWeese is giving a speech in Cincinnati next week about the danger of the data centers. Do you have a position? Because Ohio is, as I understand it, Ohio has the fourth most data centers either built or being built in the country. Talk about one of the things to lead the country in. Well, for some people, they're like clicking their heels together. Woohoo, that's a lot more jobs. That's great. Tom's position and others, AI is going to kill us all. It is going to swallow up, all creativity and ingenuity that man has had, because we're going to trust the computers to do it all. It's dangerous. It is also dangerous from the standpoint of personal information being collected in all of these data centers. Tons of it. I mean, beyond gigabytes, but terabytes of it. And so he is preaching of the dangers of AI and these data centers. So, Pete, do you have an opinion on the fact that these things are being built in Ohio in mass numbers? It has the support, it would appear, of the would-be governor, Vivek Ramaswamy, but a whole lot of people are sounding the alarm bells about the data centers and the proliferation of AI in general.
Yeah, at the risk of sounding like a Luddite, I'm very concerned about it and have been for a long time. I remember as a kid reading Arthur Clarke novels where he talked a little bit about this kind of thing. I mean, he was way ahead of everybody on this. But a couple things. Number one, data centers from a logistical standpoint consume just gobs of energy.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. Okay. But assuming we can accommodate that energy swallow, I'll tell you, AI is fast making so many occupations and endeavors obsolete that I think human beings actually need to do. I think from a strategic, a long-term standpoint, we have to get a handle on that and what we're going to do in terms of, what AI does for human beings or to replace human beings, because frankly, it can replace. I read an article yesterday, and I don't remember where it was, frankly, and I'm embarrassed by that. But nonetheless, I read an article where the author, who was in the AI industry, predicted that something like 90% of all jobs would be gone in a short time. And if you think about it, yeah, they can. I mean, look, I know that there are lawyers right now, there are cases out there where lawyers have been sanctioned because they're using AI for their briefs. Or there was a famous video, it's a well viewed video of I think she was a prosecutor, but an attorney who was doing an oral argument before a judge and was citing fictitious cases because AI was hallucinating, and that kind of stuff is happening more and more frequently.
You're right.
But it's, at some point, I think smart people, responsible people, have to have a long discussion, and it should be happening not just at the scientific level and the policy level, at the governmental level, about how we're going to be implementing AI. It can be an extremely useful tool, but it could also mean that it changes the nature of human beings.
Agree on all parts of that, Pete. I'll give an example of one of the good things. Yesterday, I got out my drone. I got a drone. It was a used drone. Somebody was getting a new one, and they gave it to me cheap. And I kind of fascinated by the cool prospect of it. And it's a very nice one. It's actually very good. I haven't used it in over a year. Obviously, don't use it in the wintertime anyway, but mostly it's just for kind of cool things. It's soaring, a few hundred feet up above the neighborhood, and it's, looking down on everything. It's just kind of cool to follow on your screen there. Well, yesterday I got it out for a good purpose because we just had a lot of high windstorms, and I wanted to see if I lost any shingles or anything up on the roof. So I got it up there, and I'm just doing my thing. Oh, let me rephrase or restart. I was trying to get it up there, but I couldn't remember how to use it. The controls are not simple. I couldn't remember how to do A, B, C, D, and E on. You know what I did? The drone is on the ground in front of me. The controller's in my hand. I pulled out my phone and I went to ChatGPT and I took a picture of the drone and I took a picture of the controller and I said, how do I make it work? Because I couldn't remember something or another about it or whatever. And in 2 seconds, oh, you have a DJI Power Phantom or whatever drone, and here's what you need to do. And it went da 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 da. And I was like, oh, that's right. And I got my thing up and I did my thing. Talk about how helpful. No search engine could have done that. Right. I would have, if it was prior to AI, I would have just gone to a search engine. I don't use Google, DuckDuckGo or Brave or whatever, and I would have said, how do I use this drone or whatever, and it would have pointed me to articles, and I would have had to click in an article and try to find answers. In this one, I get them right now. So there is a definite use for it. But on the flip side, Peter, and this is where I get really confused, or I don't know, I'm of two minds of it. I'm not really confused by it, but I'm of two minds of it. I should have to think for myself and figure stuff out. And if we make these bots, these chat bots, so powerful that they will answer everything that we previously would have had to think about and figure out and problem solve to find out ourselves, our own level of creativity, ingenuity, ability to assess, to break down and rebuild, to solve problems is going to go away. The younger generation is going to grow up having everything spoon-fed to them by AI, to the point where we stop being creative and advancing and technologically producing what needs to be produced for the future. And that's what I get.
I think we're already seeing elements of that. At least I've observed it. And without going into any great detail, I've seen it among a lot of younger people, not a lot, but I've seen among younger people who resort to AI for almost everything. And it's, I think, retarded their ability to think critically on a whole host of matters and a whole host of subject matters. I'm not, look, I think AI is a very useful tool. I think it can benefit mankind, but I think it also, again, without going into great, there's a lot of fiction that's been written about something similar to AI, predicting how human beings become virtually obsolete, or they kind of atrophy. They're mentally atrophy and sometimes morally atrophy as a result. And I'm concerned about that, but I'm also concerned. Remember back, the turn of the last century when, cobblers and others were put out of business because of advances in machinery and mechanics and things. And, that was not a good thing in many respects, but it was an advance of civilization. And most people, thought that was a good thing. We're at a point now where the very essence of human beings and what we do, that is the ability to think, not just the ability to do things manually, is being encroached upon by AI. And I think that's going to have a profound moral and it's going to have a profound moral and intellectual effect that I don't think we can predict right now. And I'm a little concerned, more than a little concerned.
I love the phrase moral atrophy, and mental atrophy. It's true, and it's going to happen, and it's going to impact us in a lot of negative ways I don't think we realize. And
remember, there have been a number of science fiction writers, and even Rod Serling on, I think, The Twilight Zone at one point had, it was very rudimentary, but he had like these machines, supercomputers, at least by their terms, that would kind of take over the functions of human beings, and human beings became these little drones sitting in the corner, just getting fat and useless. So there's an element of that. That's fiction, but there's an element of that, and we can see it already. I know this. I interact with younger people now who, it seems to me, and maybe it's just a function of I'm older, but it seems to me that they lack critical thinking skills. And I think that is in no small part because we've got all these labor-saving and mental assistance devices that doesn't require them to actually use their brains.
Peter, I want to put a comment from our audience on the board here. Saw a news item about the First Lady introducing Plato, a robot who walked in ahead of her, like Joe Biden stumbling along. Plato is a teacher, and I would assume has a link to AI. AI is being embraced by everybody, including at the top levels of our government, like that, like you just saw there. And again, it's what you said a second ago, cobblers being put out, of work because of the advances in technology of better shoes and so forth. Wagon wheels went by the wayside when tires were invented. That didn't, we don't want to harm the wagon wheel makers, so therefore we don't want to have this new advancement. I don't want to kill this. I want the highest levels of government to be able to use it. I want it to be use it until it becomes what's the word we're looking for here? Until we come to rely upon it. I want to use it as a way of improving and advancing technology, but I don't want it to make us, as you said earlier on, obsolete, and to make thinking and critical thinking skills obsolete, I guess, is the biggest concern I have with it. There's still data center concerns too about the electrical grid and everything else. We can talk about that, but from just from a human functional standpoint, the big concern I have is I want to use it, but I don't want to be used by it. How about that?
Right. I agree with that. And one of the things another thing that concerns me, there's a whole host of issues here. We could talk about this for weeks and weeks and weeks and only scratch the surface, but is the competitive issue with respect to other nations. We could put constraints upon our AI usage, but China's not going to do that. China, our competitors, who knows what they're going to be doing? And so there's going to be this race. It's in this case, it's not an arms race necessarily, but it's an intellectual property race. And I think that all restraints are going to be off. I'm very concerned about the manner in which this is evolving, and I don't think there's been enough discussion among people in responsible positions, smart people, scientists, people in government, and others about, and also between the nations, about how this is going to be implemented in a responsible fashion that actually doesn't threaten livelihoods. And eventually, it's almost like the Terminator movies, with Skynet.
Well, that was next. Oh, you mentioned Rod Serling. I was going to say Rod Serling was kind of the precursor to the Terminator series.
Right, exactly. And this is no longer science fiction. We're there, and it's not histrionics to say, hey, I'm a little concerned about the progress of this and the fact that we don't have any guardrails on it right now, and we're just moving pell-mell toward who knows what. But that's my Luddite opinion of this, and I think that more smart people need to say, the Elon Musks of the world. I trust Elon a little bit more because he's more of the guy is a big concept thinker. I mean, that doesn't mean that I trust him on everything. Don't get me wrong.
No, I got you.
But he's not merely mercenary. When you're a near trillionaire, you don't have to be mercenary. He can think about bigger picture things, and he has said some things about this thing, and I think that need or merit consideration. So this is way beyond my pay grade. All I know is it bothers me, and if I were 20 years old, I'd be very concerned about my future. Where's my place in the world with the advances in AI?
Agree with you 100% on that. But the one thing I'll follow up on before we move into our other topics, what you said about China. I think President Trump and I don't know, Bessent, some of the other administration, cabinet members have talked about if we do not continue to compete to advance AI in every way that we possibly can and use it to our advantage, we will be taken over by China economically on the world stage and maybe in a lot of other ways as well, because the advances in this, if we just say, oh, we got to pump the brakes a little bit here for this moral reason or that, or this natural resource reason or this energy reason or another, China's not pumping any brakes at all. And if they gain this intellectual and technological advantage over us, it's something from which we may not recover. We have to keep up.
Yeah, we do. And again, as I indicated, it's a mental or intellectual arms race that we don't know, and it's going so fast. The progression, it multiplies on a regular bit and multiplies by geometric fashion. Suffice to say, as a guy who is a fan in science fiction, I'm very, very concerned. I'm very concerned about where we end up on this.
Yeah, me too, Pete. Okay, let's get into more pressing matters. Did you go out Saturday? Did you go out and about? And tell me.
No, I did not. I did not because I'm an old man, so I stick around the house and shuffle about in my house shoes and stuff, my robe.
Okay, so you had to consume what happened in the streets and communities all over the state and all over the country.
I consumed adult beverages.
Right. Well, that's a good way to do it. If you're going to be watching the No Kings rallies and see what they're doing, it's good to imbibe a little bit, I think. That's probably fair to say. But Peter, they came out again, and they came out to the tune. I think Tom Z talked about the number of people estimated to have come out and protested against Trump, both the organic ones and the paid variety of protesters. And, the number that they're talking about amounted to about 2.7% of the population. And when you look at it, that means that 97.3% of the population, if my math is right there, didn't do anything with this. So you think, it's no big deal. But nonetheless, we are talking about millions of people collectively in cities across the country. So they came out to protest for one stupid reason or another, the Trump administration, or more really, Trump himself. Did the numbers of people and the sizes of the crowds that have been reported, does it bother you now that we are, what is this? We're starting April tomorrow, so we're going to be 7 months away from the actual midterm elections at which the Trump agenda is going to be decided?
Well, not so much the protests that I saw, because actually that's a very tiny sliver, although, clearly there are a lot of people out there, relatively speaking, to other protests nationwide. But, this is much of this is astroturfing. Many of these folks have been paid. There are a lot of agitators out there who are parts of organizations. The left has this down to a science. And what I saw out there, a lot of people my age or older, pretty pathetic, frankly, who are going out there with nothing better to do on a Saturday or a Sunday. And again, there are people, well-meaning people out there, they truly believe in this, but I don't think it's necessarily reflective, that in and of itself is necessarily reflective of the midterms. What bothers me about the midterms is it's the midterms, and usually the party in power suffers a loss. And there's been reporting that significant sums of money have been allocated by leftist groups toward getting out the vote. We've seen already evidence of intent to cheat on these things, but I'm less concerned about the cheating than I am about the motivation. They're motivated. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And they've got the assistance of the media, who have just completely thrown off all pretense of being objective. Before, up until maybe a few years ago, they used to at least pretend to try to be objective. Now they've completely abandoned that. There's a good thing about that. The good thing is now they're so transparent. People can look at it and judge the fact that they're trying to be influencers. But by the same token, a lot of people are simply going to take what they have to say almost as gospel and maybe motivated by that. So I think the Republicans, as the party in power usually does, are going to suffer losses, the extent to which is unclear at this point. Based on previous midterms, the economy is nothing that is going to be a big liability to the party in power. What they're going to try to play off of course, is Iran. And some of the reporting I've seen on Iran has been almost insane, frankly, has no bearing to reality and the facts. And now you can make the argument, and I think there can be a responsible argument made, that we had no business going into Iran. We should not have done so. I happen to be, and I'm generally speaking, a Trump supporter, and it's not simply kind of a reaction to the No Kings folks, but I've been concerned about Iran for a long time. Should we have gone in? Well, I'll let smarter people debate that. I'm of the opinion that you can't have the foremost sponsor of terrorism, I know that's an overused phrase, in the world, have anything even remotely close to a nuclear weapon. So I'm in favor of going in there and destroying their capacity to do so until they resume or they rejoin the League of Nations that is, promoting civilization as opposed to self-destruction and world destruction.
Pete, let's go a little deeper into that. You said that the economy, typically isn't going to be something that would harm the party in power. I'm of the mind that Trump had to go into Iran right now for the literal reason of national security and security of our allies. Because why would he upset what was a growing and expanding economy by this in a midterm year? You understand what I mean? I mean, the One Big Beautiful Bill was passed. It took effect in January. It was going to it is putting more money in more pockets. We had what was the fourth quarter GDP? It was around 3.7 or something like that.
That's
it was
exactly
really,
right.
really solid. When more money goes into more pockets, that GDP was going to expand even bigger. More people were going to spend, more things were going to have to be made, stores were going to expand, jobs were going to be created, and we were going to be just going into the midterms, killing the affordability crisis narrative and expanding, the economy and so forth. And Trump was, I think, poised to absolutely just coast through the midterm season, saying, look at where we are compared to where we were when Biden was in power. But now gas prices are up. Grocery prices are up, largely because of gas prices being up. It costs money to get those things from the farmer's, field to your store. Everything is more expensive right now. And this is going to harm President Trump. So isn't that the best argument of all of them? You said smarter people than you were going to decide whether or not we should have gone in. I kind of feel like why would he upset his own party's agenda, his own second term, to-do list here? Why would he upset that by going willy-nilly into Iran unless there was a legitimate threat that they posed right now that had to be wiped out, right?
That's a good question that I don't hear being asked by mainstream media very often on these talk shows. They take an infantile approach to world events. They don't really assess the threats. They take a, Trump bad premise and run with it. I think what he did is one of the most adult things that any politician has done in my lifetime. He understood that you couldn't have an Iran with a nuclear weapon, or even beyond that, even if you take away the nuclear threat, Iran was a terrorist player, the biggest one in the world. And he said, enough of that. We're not going to suffer with that anymore. And by no means can we have them even close to having a nuclear weapon, because that would really it would change civilization. And that's not an exaggeration. So I give, Trump, again, I'm a Trump supporter, but I'm a Trump supporter because I think his policies are right and his approach is correct. Maybe he's a little bit bombastic from time to time. He's kind of the bull in the china shop, but that's precisely what I'm looking for. And I guarantee you that most of the people watching this show are probably of the same mindset. Anyway, that's my approach to this. And I think the Democrats, by virtue of being in knee-jerk opposition to Trump, make them truly look like they're very childish. They're they don't look like they have the long-term interests of the United States in mind. They look like they care about partisan politics, and that's the way the Democrats, in my estimation, look, back in the day, 60 years ago, 50 years ago, I was a Democrat, because that was kind of like default. If you're a young person, you're a Democrat. But when I was a child, I spake as a child. Well, I think the Democratic Party right now is being irresponsible. Not all Democrats. I'm talking about the Democratic Party and their leadership. They're irresponsible. They've got this anti-Trump view of things that make them look ridiculous at times. Because if Trump says food is good, they'll say food is bad.
Yeah.
So. Well, that's at the point we're at right now, and I think Trump is doing what's necessary to protect this country, and I applaud him for it.
Well, to that end, Peter, let's talk about the other big part of what they're defying Trump on, which is what he ran on. He ran on two things. Number one, turning around the economy. The Biden economy and Biden inflation had to be fixed. The other one, of course, was immigration. They were 1A and 1B, and I don't even know which one was the A. That's how big it was in 2024. And he ran on sealing the border. It has been sealed. 10 consecutive months of zero illegal aliens being released in this country, which is extraordinary. Not cut down to, 10% of what it used to be. Zero, none. So that's number one. Number two, he ran on, we're going to stage the largest mass deportation effort in American history. Now, to my chagrin, it hasn't happened. The numbers aren't nearly big enough for that to be the case, even pacing, where we are right now. But the point is, he brought ICE out to be able to do exactly what he promised. And we're going to go get the worst first. But in the process of getting the worst, we're also going to be looping in and scooping up the others who aren't supposed to be here. And the American people said, yep, that's what we want. And they voted for him overwhelmingly for that. And now here we are. We are in day, 50 or something like that of the partial shutdown of the government, the shutdown of DHS, Homeland Security, all over ICE. And literally, it's about the Democrats demanding that ICE not be allowed to remove the new voters that they went to such painstaking efforts to bring in during the 4 years of Biden. That's ultimately what this is about. Peter, how does it end?
That's a question I can't answer. Obviously, no one can answer that question. The way I hope it ends is that the Democrats suffer a massive defeat at the polls in the midterms, because I don't think that they're going to change their position unless there are electoral consequences, and they have to be relatively profound. Their base and their finance arm is demanding that they do precisely what they're doing, and they're necessarily inclined to do it anyway. And they're, as we indicated before, they're necessarily anti-Trump. What if Trump says that ice cream is good, they're going to think it's bad, and vice versa. So, the way to make sure that we prevail is to win the midterms. It's going to be very tough to do so. Again, all the usual institutions are arrayed against the Republicans and this president. I do have a little bit of faith in the American people, though, because I think, when I saw over the weekend, for example, some of these No Kings protests, they were, in my estimation, absurd. I guarantee you that most of your audience believed they were absurd. But I also, I was talking to a few people, and actually I wasn't talking to a few people. I'd overheard a few things yesterday in the office building when I was standing in line to get something to eat. And just, people who I didn't even know who they were, but they didn't sound like they were people who were invested in politics. And they were not really pleased with these No Kings protests. They were, from what I was able to glean, they were a little bit baffled by them because they thought that ICE, DHS is doing the right thing. If you're an illegal immigrant, emphasis on illegal. Nobody has a problem with immigration done the right way pursuant to our laws, or at least not much of a problem. But when it comes to illegal, we have no idea who they are. Their first act is to break our laws and come into this country. And I think, the so-called silent majority that the media assiduously tries to avoid is in favor of this. And I also think that there is, and it's reflected to some extent in the polls, but I've always been of the mind that on certain issues, and we know this to be the case in doing retro analyses, people don't answer polls honestly because they think that the media is going to cast them as being Luddites or, Cro-Magnon people. So they try to elide their answers here. But when you talk to people, at least when I do, and admittedly, I think many people know where I stand on things, so they may not necessarily completely candid. But, I've got friends who are progressives, and, I've known them for a long time, and I know what they believe and how they approach things, and they're not particularly enamored of this mass immigration that the Democrats have been trying to promote. And they don't like the idea that they come across as being anti-American by being against law enforcement. And that's really a major problem of theirs. They come across, despite the best efforts of the media, as being anti-cop, anti-military, and political parties don't fare well when that's the manner in which they're perceived.
Well, you're obviously right about that, Peter. Let me bring myself back up here real quick because I wanted to bring up another topic with you, and I'll get back to that in a moment. No, I don't disagree. I don't understand how the Democrats think this is a winning proposition for them. I would again go back to, the way things were supposed to be without the Iran war. The economy was going to be humming along. President Trump made a call here that said we have to do something that might actually get in the way of that agenda in the midterms here. It's going to cost some short-term pain, as he said, for long-term gain, but it's got to be done. I think right now the Democrats respond, in my estimation, by instead of taking full advantage of that, by literally cutting their own throats, or maybe that's extreme, but they're harming themselves by this ridiculous grasping onto, this, we are going to stop ICE at all costs. We will shut down the government. We will make the lines at the airports so interminably long, no pun intended, that people are going to be angry. We're going to be releasing into the community a whole bunch of very dangerous people so that they can kill people like Sheridan Gordon in Chicago. They're embracing something that is, again, politically not, I don't think, advantageous to them. The American people still support ICE. The American people still support what they did when they gave Trump the mandate that they gave him to carry out this mass deportation. Were people made uncomfortable by Minnesota and by the death of Renee Good and Alex Pretty? Yeah, they were. But I think by and large, turn off CNN and turn off Tim Walz and ask everyday Americans and on Main Street America if they still support ICE or Tim Walz and those individuals. They're going to say, go get them. They're going to say ICE still go doing what you have to do. So I'm kind of curious how the Democrats think this is a winning recipe for them. They have an opportunity.
Yeah, I think
to get out of their own way.
Right. One of the big advantages of being a Democrat, but also one of the biggest disadvantages at the same time, is the media insulation that they enjoy. The media always tries to cast them. The major media and the majority of the media is favorable to Democrats. That's no mystery. Everyone's known that for a long time. It ebbs and flows to some extent, but it's always a left-leaning proposition. But I think Democrats, sometimes they're inside this echo chamber where, they believe that people are on their side because they keep getting reinforced by media narratives. And I think they make a huge mistake there. If they go out on the street, and I know, look, there's no mistake. They're very savvy about this. They have to get reelected, so they have to have their finger on the pulse of their constituents. But I think that's distorted somewhat by what they hear from the media. And look, as you said, the killing in Chicago, other places that, every once in a while there's a particularly horrific killing, but there are a lot of folks who are displaced or harmed by mass immigration, and not just illegal immigration, but immigration generally speaking. Now they're of two different characters, but they can have the same type of or similar economic impact. If you go to certain inner city neighborhoods, for example, there are folks who really don't like the fact that illegal immigrants are, number one, taking jobs. They're, competing for all types of other benefits. I don't think the Democrats have truly assessed that, but because the media is on their side, I think they've got a distorted view or an inflated view of their own righteousness and importance that doesn't do well for them. Again, I still think the Republicans are going to take a bath in the midterms. That's what usually happens. But I think that if we have a viable, and I think we're going to have a very good candidate for the next presidential election. It could be, who knows who it's going to be, but we've got so many good people. Vance, Rubio's a superstar in my estimation. DeSantis frankly doesn't get enough credit for what he has done. He's actually put his nose to the grindstone and actually accomplished some things. But I think again, I wonder, and again, I'm extremely partisan, obviously, but looking at it from the standpoint of, if I were a Democrat, would I be doing what they're doing? Aside from the fact that, okay, substantively I disagree with their positions, but from a tactical perspective, it baffles me. I think that they're making huge mistakes, and I think part of that's because they believe, or they're insulated by the media. The media keeps telling them they're doing the right thing.
That's what I'm talking about. I just don't understand it. I mean, I'm glad they're making tactical mistakes, quite frankly, because I think they have a golden opportunity here, and they're blowing it because of their infatuation with the stopping ICE thing, which again, I can only surmise is because they know the value of having the millions who came in here from a standpoint of congressional, allocation and apportionment, and as well as, quite frankly, voting, which is why they want ICE away from the airports. Peter, one more thought on the immigration/illegal immigration topic. I want to share this with you, and I think you'll appreciate this because I know what a sports fanatic you are. There's the round mound of Rebound on the right side there, who's a little less round these days. He's doing
he's lost weight.
Yeah, he's doing his row thing. Anyway, Charles Barkley has tongues a wagon all over the place after this comment during, they're talking about March Madness. This is the NCAA championship tournament, and he decided to go political.
I want to be very careful with my words right now. Okay. Because this is a really touchy subject for me.
Why?
I love that kid and his family. But the way some of these other immigrants are getting treated in our country right now is a travesty and a disgrace. I think there's a difference between amazing immigrants and criminal immigrants. And I think what's going on in our country, what we're doing to some of these amazing immigrants is really unfortunate, and it's really sad. And that's a great immigrant story. We have a lot of great immigrant stories out there their stories need to be told, but some of the stuff that's happening to immigrants in our country right now is really unfortunate and it's really unfair. But immigrants built this country, and we should admire them and respect them.
Peter Kirsanow.
I like Charles Barkley in the main. I've had opportunities to speak with Charles Barkley, and he is usually one of the more thoughtful commentators out there. It's not saying much among sports commentators, obviously, but nonetheless. But Charles is, I never told people to stay in their lane. I don't think there are any lanes you're supposed to stay in. You can comment about anything. It's the United States of America. But, it'd be nice if he appreciated that maybe on certain subjects he should, before speaking, and this applies to all of us, it applies to me right now, maybe think a little bit more. Yeah, there are a lot of amazing immigrants out there, but the predicate is whether or not that immigrant is legal or illegal. We have a country here, in case you haven't noticed. We have borders, we have certain laws and requirements, and they're there for a reason. They were thought out, and almost every country has decided that it's better to have people who've come in that we have vetted, approved, and we've allowed to come in this country on a regularized basis, and we can manage the numbers and all of that. That is what a nation does. It is the essence of a country, having a border. You don't have a country if you don't have a border. But I think Charles is, and a lot of them are, they've, using a trite phrase, they've drunk the media Kool-Aid without being critical. And I don't mean critical in a confrontational sense, but critical in terms of thinking about what it means to be illegal and legal. We have those categories for a reason. They've stood the test of millennia. Every nation has had that. So, I'm sorry, Charles, you can have your opinion. You've got a huge platform, but maybe stick to dribbling and passing the ball.
Well, and Peter, I'm glad you phrased it that way, because it's nobody turned on coverage of the NCAA tournament to hear that any more than anybody goes to Bruce Springsteen's concert now. Now, actually, this year, he's embarking on an I Hate Trump tour where everybody knows he literally, it's like, it's motivated by his hatred for Donald Trump. It's like, so you're going to a political rally now if you go to a Bruce Springsteen concert. But prior to that acknowledgement, I go to hear somebody sing. I don't go to hear them preach on politics any more than I turn on CNN and try to watch a committee hearing and why are they singing? Why my politicians are up there rocking out. I turned you on for politics. Okay, stay in the lane that you're in that moment. Now, if Charles Barkley, like Stephen A. Smith, he's crossed over. When he's doing NBA coverage and NFL coverage on ESPN, he's doing his thing and he does sports, but then he goes on Hannity to talk politics, and that's okay. Charles Barkley can do that too. But what I wanted to really kind of focus on there, Pete, is not just can he or should he say it in the forum in which he was in, but what about the substance of what he said? He said there are amazing immigrants and how they're being treated in this country is a travesty and a disgrace. He didn't offer one iota of what it is that immigrants are, how they're being treated in such a travesty or in such a disgrace. I'd like to know exactly what it is that they're not getting that they need.
Yeah, as I said, he's drinking the media Kool-Aid. Give us examples of how these folks are being treated badly or treated inconsistently with what our law requires. When you're illegal, yes, ICE will come and they will get you. If you resist, they're going to have to restrain you in some fashion. You decide how ICE is going to deal with you. But this is what a nation founded upon laws and that executes its laws behaves. And that's what separates us from the nations that these illegal immigrants and all immigrants fled from. If you don't get that, then you understand nothing about what it means to be an American. All those folks you see out there coming here for a reason, because we are a country of the rule of law. And because of the rule of law, all of the ancillary benefits flow therefrom. If we abdicate that, if we no longer have or enforce our laws and act as a nation of the rule of laws and require everyone to abide by the laws, we're going to be the same as the hellholes that some of these folks escaped from and came here from. So, look, Charles, entitled to his opinion, obviously, he's got a giant platform to spew his opinion. And unfortunately, in some respects, a lot of people are going to be swayed by it because it's Charles Barkley. But we've had so much of this, a lot of it's generated, and I'm not saying that Barkley's like this, but a lot of commentary from the Springsteens of the world is generated because, he's a leftist, generally speaking, but Trump elicits more enmity, more reflexive reaction from media, from entertainers, from sports personalities than anybody in my lifetime. And sometimes, because most of what Trump does, not everything, but most of what Trump does, and it's not a partisan, I'm trying to be as nonpartisan as possible about this, is benefits this country and benefits it greatly. And it's what he's the adult in the room. He may not act like it all the time, but in terms of policy, he does stuff that everyone else, they kick the can down the road. Nobody else wanted to address because it was too tough, it was too icky. Trump dives in and says, we've got to change this for the benefit of the United States of America and its citizens. And I applaud him for that. And he takes all the crap for that. You know, everyone else assiduously avoids it, not just Democrats, but Republicans too. Even when it appears as if they've got a majority, they try to avoid it. Not Donald Trump. He will take, you know, an issue that's 20-80, but if he thinks that it benefits the United States of America, he'll take the slings and arrows as a result of that. Is he right all the time? No, probably not. No human being is. But Barkley and others apparently don't give him credit for that.
So everybody knows Charles Barkley from his NBA career. Nobody knows Jaden Ivey. Do you know Jaden Ivey?
No.
Okay. I'm going to play this, Pete. Jaden Ivey is a player.
Oh, I've heard about him. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a player for the Chicago Bulls. And for those who have not heard this yet, the Chicago Bulls apparently waived him, meaning they cut him after he spoke out against the NBA for promoting Pride Month and what he calls unrighteousness. He announced recently that he is a Christian and that he is alive in Christ. And so he made some comments that apparently rubbed some people the wrong way, so much so that they cut him. So I want you to, you know, after we just heard Charles Barkley, here's a different perspective from a different man.
That the world can proclaim LGBTQ. Right? They proclaim Pride Month and the NBA. They proclaim it. They show it to the world. They say, come join us for Pride Month to celebrate unrighteousness. They proclaim it. They proclaim it on the billboards. They proclaim it in the streets. Unrighteousness. So how is it that one can't speak righteousness? How is it one that how are they to say that this man is crazy?
I'm not the Jay I used to be, but the old Jay is dead. I'm alive in Christ. No matter what the basketball setting is, I'm born again, the Holy Spirit, and I've been saved by Jesus Christ. No matter what, how many DMPs I don't get to play, or no matter how many points I score, those things are a temporary thing.
Okay, Pete. Again, I don't know a whole lot about the young man's career. I don't know, how many points a game he averaged or anything else. And I don't know if maybe there was a thought in the GM's office about making a roster change prior to this. I don't know, but a whole lot of people are saying there are no such thing as coincidences. After he made his in-car commentary about righteousness and the LGBTQ embracing by the NBA, suddenly he gets cut. What do you say?
Well, first of all, it's unfortunately not a surprise. Major institutions have taken a certain perspective, and they're entitled to do so. Private enterprises can do whatever they want to do in that regard. They can fire and hire people based on almost anything that isn't, statutorily prohibited. And that's what the NBA does here, or that's what the Bulls did here. And I think the players and other employees need to understand that that's the case. And I think he probably did, and decided that his faith was more important to him, and I applaud him for that. I would hope that and you're not going to see this because most institutions are cowed by the woke left. That's one thing the woke left is good at. They can cow institutions that otherwise would not be necessarily in line with their position to do what they want. And that's, the cultural zeitgeist moves us just very incrementally in a leftist direction. But, I wish that the Barclays of the world, for example, and others, people with a big microphone or megaphone, would say, hey, wait a minute here. The guy was expressing his Christian beliefs. He was, if somebody in another context was to express, say, Muslim beliefs, you can be pretty sure that the NBA probably wouldn't take the kind of action that they did. But the woke left has cultural hegemony over the United States of America to a very large extent. And it's unfortunate this has happened. So, but, I applaud the guy for standing by his principles. The guy had the ability to, he could have just kept his head down like most players do. And I don't mean to be, disparaging of those players. I don't think that you necessarily should be coming out there and, and making pronouncements. That's not what your job is necessarily. But I wish more people would say, and, I've taken, I'm not elevating myself, but, part of what I do obviously is to speak out. But, you and I, Bob, I know you've gotten, negative commentary. I've got a lot of negative commentary for a whole host of reasons, some of which is justified. But, in the United States of America, we have the First Amendment, and you have the right to speak. And I wish we gave more latitude to people like this. But again, the cultural zeitgeist, the political correct zeitgeist is contrary to his position. And so he's going to suffer as a result.
He was in his car. He was he I do that every day. I do
were you sitting next to him?
Yeah, what's that?
I was asking if you were sitting next to him.
Oh, yeah, all right. But I do. I've got a mount for my camera phone, and I record truck videos all the time. It's Bob France Road Rants. It's my little thing, and okay, a lot of people do similar things. He's on his own time. He's recording something. He uploads it to his own social media. That is different than Charles Barkley being on a television set, in which he's supposed to be opining about the the basketball players and about the actual games and about the NCAA tournament and so forth. He's a paid commentator who would then changed his commentary to get political. This young kid was on his own time. Nobody has to go to his page. Nobody has to go to his social media account to find that and see what he says and then suddenly be outraged by it. But yet the NBA basically treated him as if he is, is not a free-willed individual who must, as you say, abide by the zeitgeist. He must, preach the party line or whatever the NBA's line is. And we love our trans people. We're going to do Pride Month all over the NBA, just like baseball does and everything else. This guy on his own time said, I'm not down with it. It's unrighteous. I am a believer in Jesus Christ, and I do not believe that is the way. The idea that he gets cut by, all I can say is, and all I can hope is, Peter, that the people are watching and the people are turning off, that which, that they don't want to watch anymore, if that makes any sense. I hope people respond to the NBA treating this kid the way they have in the right way, which is to say, I'm done.
Right. And I don't know to what extent, what the percentages are of people who are responding, but I know that it affects me. I know it affects you and other people that I've spoken to, who aren't necessarily political, but they don't like that. They, if you're going to have lanes, if the NBA, for example, is going to have certain lanes where you can say certain things, then be consistent with respect to the lanes. If you're going to apply those lanes to somebody who has a Christian perspective, then apply the same lane to and for the same consequences for those who don't. At least do it, in a fair fashion. And if you don't, then expect there to be some type of repercussions from the fan base. I think most people are not aware that this has happened. So, but I know that to the extent many Christian fans were aware this happened, it would, I think, reflect very poorly. And some people may decide, for a while at least, or maybe permanently, who knows? I think I'm done with the Bulls, or I'm done with the NBA, whoever, they're taking out the consequences on. But we are, again, the prevailing narrative of the zeitgeist is from a leftist perspective, and I think everybody understands that. And many people, I think that the level of conservatism, or the support for conservatism or for Christianity, is understated, because people understand what happened to this guy. They understand the potential ramifications, and so they have their heads down.
Peter, I was reminded, I was just trying to remember who it was, and I found him here real quick just to kind of give another example of it. Do you remember this guy?
Yeah, Enos Cantor, right.
Yeah, actually changed his name to Enes Kanter Freedom. He's from Turkey. He's a Muslim, by the way. Still celebrates Ramadan and fasts and all that. I just saw an article about him when he was still playing, fasting during Ramadan, how he managed to be able to continue to play while being so deprived of nutrients and so forth. Anyway, he's only 33 years old, and he's been out of the league for a few years now. They bounced him out of the league for daring to speak out about China. And this is just the Wikipedia quick version of it. A human rights activist known for his freedom shoes and his outspoken criticism of human rights abuses in China, particularly the treatment of Uyghurs, by the way, Uyghur Muslims, and the use of forced labor. When he started speaking out against China and Nike and some of the bell cows, if you will, of the NBA, they did the same thing to him. They bounced him out of the league. He can still play. He was an effective part of the teams for which he played. He was not some scrub. I'm not saying he was Lou Alcindor at his prime either, but he was a big center who did some things and would absolutely be on a roster right now today at the age of 33 if he hadn't decided, no, I'm going to speak out against human rights abuses in China. So, they're so picky about who they allow to, their free speech, if you will, and which ones they're going to try to silence and the message that they're going to send to other people. This is going to happen to you if you don't toe the line.
Yeah, and that's, I think, one of the many purposes of events such as the No Kings March. It sends more than one message, and the overarching message is you better be in lockstep with our agenda, whether it's the immigration agenda or it's a leftist agenda. And I think our culture is shaped in that fashion, unfortunately, and corporations, they kowtow to that. They put their finger in the wind. All they care about, I'm not saying all they care, but their major concern, of course, is the bottom line and pleasing their shareholders. And they know they don't need those headwinds. They don't need media scrutiny. They don't need the media opprobrium that comes from taking the wrong, politically incorrect position. So I think that the two individuals, the two athletes that you just displayed, that's part of the consequences. And and you have to have somebody like, it doesn't necessarily have to be of the stature of, say, a Michael Jordan, but one of the more prominent athletes in the respective sports who is, for lack of a better term, too important to that league to have any kind of negative repercussions by firing them or blackballing them. And if they stand out and they can continue to speak, like do you think for a moment that the NBA would have consigned to irrelevancy Michael Jordan? No, they wouldn't. I mean, they try to elide the situation somehow, but the bottom line is Michael Jordan was the NBA. Or unfortunately, you can see how they accommodate LeBron James.
Yeah.
And on the negative side of it. I think I wish that there were more athletes like the Enes Kanters of the world who decided that, look, I'm going to sacrifice my career. Maybe he didn't make that overt decision, but he took the risk. Not too many players are. I mean, they like to think that they're big and strong and fast and indomitable, but when push comes to shove, and I've dealt with a lot of these guys, and they're human beings like the rest of us. I don't know how I would react. I'd like to think that I would have reacted, a little bit more, with a little bit more, I don't know what, temerity, I suppose. But, when you're making a good living, you're a young man, go along, get along, and just do it for a few years, and then maybe be able to speak any way you want to. But the left has cultural hegemony, and that's why we have consequences such as that.
No doubt about it. Peter Kirsanow, great analysis as always, my friend. I appreciate you very much. And nice job on the set today. Look at that. The equipment, the camera, the audio, everything was perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Thanks, Bob.
Whatever you did this week, don't change it. All right. Thank you, my friend.
Take care, Bob.
That's Kirsanow right here, strictly speaking with us on Rumble. Good stuff there. Chatters have been very active as well. People are still talking about the immigration issue that Charles Barkley spoke on. I'm seeing comments on Ellis Island. My grandparents came through Ellis Island. My grandpa worked the coal mines of Pennsylvania, died of black lung as a young man, like so many others. Yeah, terrible, sad thing. I recommend visiting Ellis Island. Quite impactful seeing the articles immigrants brought, the rooms. It made me appreciate my grandparents who came through Ellis Island all the more. Yeah, Lois Irene, I hear that, and I get that as well. A lot of people need to be reminded of how hard it was to come through and to become a legal immigrant to this country, a legal immigrant. And the idea that illegals are coming through here with impunity right now is it's impossible to justify. M. Gollin says, love Peter. Everybody loves Peter. Yo, Jimbo, thanks, Pete. Sarah, thanks, Peter. Everybody, huge fans of Peter Kirsanow, and that's one of the reasons why we're very fortunate to have him. All right, everybody, that is going to do it. Thank you so much for being a part of it. If you missed it earlier on, any of the conversation earlier on, obviously the show is available 24/7. It has been on the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Magga the dog, making noise. Hey, buddy. It has been suggested to me that I rerun this as a live show in the evenings at about 8 p.m. for people who can't watch it live. And if you're just watching it on the replay, then you really can't see a whole lot of the chat as well. And so maybe I should rerun it live at 8 o'clock. Something I'm thinking about. But for now, if you're watching this live, thank you for being in the chat. If you're watching this on playback, obviously make use of the comment section. You got comments on anything you heard from Kirsanow, anything you heard from the videos that we played, the Ashley McTaggart story, the immigration stories, and so forth. By all means, use the comment section. And don't forget, most importantly, click the like button. That's the thumbs up. Click the bell. That's the notifications. And then click join to join us in the locals community as well. Really, really important part of keeping this show alive. All right. That's where you can become a paid supporter. And quite frankly, without doing that, we can't do this forever. All right. That's the reality of it. Thank you, everybody, especially Kirsanow. Great stuff. As always, I want to remind you to be well, be safe, and stay free. We'll see you tomorrow morning on Strictly Speaking Unfiltered. Bye, everybody.